and committed teacher and a disciplined researcher. With more than 15 years of teaching experience, Dr. Manish has published 10 research papers and is supervising
Recording in progress.
last many years. So it has been a delight working with Dr. Manish Kumar Gupta because his sincerity and discipline of work and the ideas is unmatchable. So without wasting the time, I would like to hand over the screen to Dr. Manish Kumar Gupta and invite him to introduce our resource person and conduct the session for the day. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, Vaishali madam. First of all, I would like to introduce Professor Neeta Shah ma'am. And Neeta Shah ma'am is currently heading the Department of Mathematics at Gujarat University, India. And she received her PhD in statistics from Gujarat University in 1994. And her key area of research include inventory modeling in supply chain, robotic modeling, mathematical modeling of infectious diseases, image processing, dynamical systems and its application, and many others. Professor Neeta Shah ma'am has published more than 26 books comprising of monographs, textbooks, edited books, and more than 475 peer-reviewed research papers. This number is very large, very big. Professor Shah has also 3 patents to her credit. According to Google Scholar, the total number of citations is over 3,700 and maximum number of citations for a single paper is over 209. That is very big. The H index is 27 up to June 2022. She has guided more than 33 PhD students and 15 MPhil students till now. 8 students are pursuing research for their PhD degree at present. She has delivered not only in India her valuable talk, but also in abroad like United States, Singapore, Canada, South Africa, Malaysia, Indonesia, and others. She has served as a council member of Indian Mathematical Society. So, Professor Neeta ma'am, I welcome you in this session, and I handle hello, am I audible?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So Professor Shah ma'am, over to you for your valuable lecture. Thank you.
Dr. Manish, first, can I share my screen?
Yeah, ma'am, you can share.
Can you see my screen?
Yeah. It is visible.
Yeah, just a moment. Okay. Good afternoon to one and all present here. And I would like to thank organizers, in particular Dr. Dharmendra Yadav and Dr. Vaishali, for giving me opportunity to share my 30 years experience in choosing the topic. Because today exactly it is 30 years. I started in 1992 at the same day, and that is the reason why I said yes for this topic. Yadav sir, thank you for getting me memorized with 30 years back date. And thank you Manish for introduction.
Ma'am, please, pleasant view.
Today's my topic is how to select a research topic. What are the tactics for selecting a research topic? Dr. Manish already said
working, and I will tell you during the discussion that how and why I chose some of the topics. First, it is very important aspect of planning research is choosing the topic. If you have an interest in complex analysis and then if you choose the topic of inventory modeling, you will not be getting benefited. That is what I meant by my first line. And without a good research question, the outcome of any research is questionable and will not have any impact whatsoever. This is in connection with the previous statement that if I am interested in particular area, then I should have a question in that. Not only question, after doing work for almost 3 years, if outcomes of this research is not up to the mark, in the sense it is the same which is known to everybody, then it is not a research. Okay? And obviously that will have no impact anywhere. It is very common practice to hurriedly prepare a protocol, that is what we call a proposal, and finish a study to meet the criteria for academic promotions. Nowadays it has been observed that the student comes once they complete their MSc and say, I want to do PhD. And they won't say, I want to do PhD. They will say, Madam, हम PhD करते हैं. What does this mean? That me and he has to do that. He is the person, he is a key person who is going to do research. Okay. And that they do because they are knowing that unless he or she is with a doctorate degree, they will not be getting qualified for getting the academic position.
Ma'am, sorry for interrupting you.
Yes, sir.
Ma'am, your face is out of the screen. Then please adjust the screen. Ma'am, slightly more.
Okay. Is it okay?
Ma'am, slightly down the screen. Your face is not completely on the screen.
Just a minute. Let me have lights. Some more light.
Maybe showing the PPT.
No.
Is it okay now? Can you see?
Ma'am, yes. Now it is okay.
Oh,
Please continue. Please continue.
just a minute. Okay. So what I was saying that it's a fairly common practice that a student will come to you hurriedly prepare a proposal and he will be in hurry to meet the criteria for academic promotions even after doing the PhD. Similarly, to meet the grant applications deadlines, not uncommonly, study ideas are generated within brief periods. Because financial organization has sent an announcement and closing date is very nearby. Applicant do the application for getting the finance, and that is also harming them because they got the information about the financial support just before 2 days, and no one can prepare application, that is the plan, within 2 days, and that is actually harming. Now, what is the main question here? The time spent on choosing the research topic and generating appropriate appropriate question will pay a rich dividend. Some of the participants in our FDP adopted, and they know that they invested in terms of
Recording stopped.
academics, in terms of the knowledge, in terms of the learning,
Recording
and
in progress.
have a dividend. And that dividend may be more than 90% with no bank will give it. So, what I can say is that investment of time at this point in research process offsets the potential time and resources wasted in pursuing an inappropriate question, or one that has been comprehensively addressed already. So you need to invest at the right time on the right problem and to have the right outcome. That is, otherwise all resources are wasted, your energy is wasted, and your time also got wasted. There are many sources for research ideas. If I talk about the mathematical problems identified by astute real life experiences could be the starting point of many research topics. Because I belong to mathematics faculty, I said this statement, but it is not only for mathematics. If you talk about the chemistry, then whatever problems in chemistry has been experienced in real life can be a starting point of many research topics. And also, even if you do research either in psychology or maths or any sciences, at the middle of the research, you will have to have mathematics or statistics involved in it. And when mathematics and statistics goes, because of this high-tech world, computer science also goes. So mathematical sciences has to be there in between whenever you start your research. Most of the questions that arise from mathematical problems will have immediate translation value. Translation value here I meant by will have an impact. Some of the mathematical questions comes from observations that might have already been published. And if already some problems are available, solutions to some problems are available, and that may be in 2020. And after that, after reading that question and solution, you may come to know that yes, I can have this constraint also in my problem, and in that, and once I add, I can give a good output, which is quite relevant to the problem. So that is what I meant by that. Many questions arise from the observations. Now, how you can have these problems? Where to get the problems? That is also very question mark. So what I say is, you discuss with your colleagues in the sense, if you already have a job, or your classmates and seniors, that's your faculties, your teachers. If they have come across any question that needs to be answered, and that is what nowadays anybody who is interested to go for a PhD degree does. But this is not a right way in one sense. You will come to know, I will give you a response to this question later on. Also, fellow researchers, if you have your MSc or PG course with a project, okay, then in project also we do some part of it, hardly 10 to 20% of the research. Okay. So they can also provide some concerns that can be translated into research questions. Other sources are critical appraisal of journal papers in the broad areas. that those are published recently. Don't go for 1990s paper. Go for 2020 or 2021 paper, published paper. Sometimes editorials in prominent journals. Now, question comes, what do you mean by prominent journals? Journals from elsewhere, Taylor and Francis, Springer, Hindawi, and many more. Okay. These are the prominent journals in any of the area, whether you take physics, whether you take chemistry, whether you take botany, you will find journals from these publishers. And it has been observed that editorials in these journals many times points out areas that need further research. And so how I should know that this is pointed out by? You may go for just go to editorial, go to the journal EJOR, that is European Journal of Operations Research. Okay, and you will find number of call for spatial issues. Okay. So those are the focus areas in which research is really required. Nowadays, most of us are talking about the pollution, okay, and how to reduce this pollution or how to reduce litigation, that is wastage of material. Okay, we have a sustainable world, okay? Or you can have the carbon emission as a word. How to improve the fuel capacity. So all this falls under the words sustainable. So I need to go for a literature search that identify areas where further research is suggested or research topics are suggested. And I have observed in my department also that PG students are reluctant to attend the conferences. And not only that, they are so introverted that even if they attend conference, by forcefully if we say they will attend the conference, but they will remain in their own group, those their classmates. Okay? But that is not the right way to attend the conference. He or she should meet the delegate, should have a discussion with them who are working in the areas of the liking. And this will really helpful. This will really help. Most of the studies that aim to refine what exactly research is, it is consisting of two words, re and search. Search is already known to almost everybody, and you are redefining it to have the new definition of new result and new definition of the previous studies, or extend them in some manner that would be considerably incremental research, and they constitute the bulk of studies to be conducted. Once you enter in one of the area, okay, you go on having the habit of refining the particular research, and you will have your thesis in your hand at the end of 4 years or 5 years. Priorities of the society may be additional input for the research, especially when you are applying for the grants. Whenever you apply for the grants, one of the question is how it is going to be useful for the social welfare of the human being. And that question is very difficult to answer in some of the areas. For example, if I am doing research in complex analysis or real analysis, it is very difficult to say that what will be its impact on the social life. But at the same time, if I am working in the robotic or if I am working in the image processing, I can very nicely elaborate the impact of new outcomes on the society. Government or private bodies identify core areas that need research and offer funding opportunities. In previous slide, I said that you have to get the problem from either editorial board or from your faculties or from your fellows. So, and why? That is what statement is here. And this can be easily found on the website maintained by respective ministries. And for us, the best one is DST, Department of Science and Technology. Sometimes research questions arise from basic sciences that may lead to a translation of the findings for the community. Very simple example, recent example, transmission of COVID-19 virus. Virology is basic science, okay, and we need, our team translated it into mathematical form and gave good number of outputs which were quite useful for controlling or reducing the transmission in the community. And such ideas arise in collaborative research, when researchers from the basic mathematical sciences come together to formulate a research question. Now, I'm just giving you one example. When I say that we started doing research in COVID-19, that means I need to have some idea about virology. I need to have some idea about the transmission of this disease. What are the medicines available? What are the steps to be taken? Okay. And then how to control it. As a one person or two members, that is a PhD guide and there is one researcher, cannot go with all these branches. No one is having that much time. So if you discuss problems, your problem with virologists, that is go to the zoology department. Once you are clear about how it is going on, you can go to microbiology department. Just try to get the idea about. When both these are done, you should also sit with the doctor, physician. Okay? He will be able to explain in a better way what was told by zoologists or microbiologists. Okay? But doctor all alone, physician will not able to tell you many things. So you have to be also with the doctor who is pathologist, because that is falling under pathologist. Okay, and once you have raw material of all these players, then you can sit in your office, AC office, convert into diagram, then use mathematical tool. But then what? I can go up to equilibrium point or control. But after all, laymen will able to understand only the language of graphics. Okay, unless you show that this is how it is going on, they will able to understand. They will not able to understand what is differential equation, what is endemic point, what is reproduction number and all. So I have to go with computer science. No doubt some of the maths faculties are having some grip over some of the mathematical software, but then also they have limitations. So they have to go to the computer science department. But not necessarily that everybody will be able to understand your requirement. So you see that doing one study requires collaboration of good number of players to find the solution. But don't hesitate. Just go. It may happen that a general physician or pathology may not give you time in the beginning. When you say that you are mathematician or you are statistician or you are coming from this particular branch, but you have to be after them if you want to have a best output. And most of this research could lead to novel solutions. That is, when you go for the collaborative work, you are bound to get the good solution, different solution, good solution. Okay. Now, till now I was saying topic. There are two words, topic and subject. These two words are completely different. Although it looks like same, and we are using also in our day-to-day life. Okay. So let us see. For example, in high school we study different subjects. Mathematics was a subject, and in mathematics, what are the topics you have learned? What you have learned? For example, linear algebra is a topic. But generally what we say, linear algebra is a subject. Okay. We don't say mathematics is a subject and linear algebra is topic. But it's not going to make any difference. For example, if I talk about the chemistry and organic chemistry, okay, or nanochemistry. So subject is chemistry, but topic is nanochemistry. If I talk about physics and space science, under physics, space science is one of the topics. So you have to have a, no doubt there is a very thin water layer, but you need to know what is the discrimination between the topic and subject. And many times the newcomer is having some issues, they get confused. So a subject of a research study refers to a broad and general content, whereas a topic of research is specific issue which you want to investigate. If I say operation research, I am doing research in operations research. No, it is not. Operation research is subject in which good number of topic falls, maybe queuing theory, maybe game theory, maybe inventory theory. So inventory theory is a topic, but inventory theory is also a huge, you can say C. In that, I want to talk about only deteriorating items, or I want to talk about only sustainable inventory supply chain. Okay. So you have to get to narrow, you should go to narrow down. Don't have your topic to be broad. That is not a research. So selecting the right topic is the first step in the research journey towards PhD or any other research project. If you already have a PhD and you want to apply for the research project, then the best choice of right choice of selecting is very crucial. In the case of PhD, that is how the equivalent practice, what is going on. If the scholarship for a PhD program is funded from a research project, then obviously candidate will be working because I already have funded project. So topic is known to me. Guide I can only be. Okay, so researcher doesn't have space. Everything is bounded. So that is what I said. If the scholarship for a PhD program is funded by a research project, then the candidate is supposed to work with the already identified topic and objectives. That you have to elaborate. If the research is sponsored by a company, this particularly falls in industrial chemistry, the researcher has to conduct studies on the problems identified in the management. So one group can have research only which is asked by the mentor. Second group can be only by the management of the company. So you don't have any scope. Okay? So in this scenario, the researcher has limited flexibility in modifying the topics and objectives. So you don't have any way to move around. Okay? Supervisor may suggest some research topics. This is third category, which may be an extension of his prior research. But what happens? In this case, the supervisor may have knowledge in the topic and researcher may get support from him. Quite obvious. If I go for the research in robotics, because I have done some work in robotics, I have basics clear with me. Okay. So you are safe enough. But this is not a right way. Other research scholars have to select their own topic. I generally do the same thing. I don't give my own topic. I ask students to come with a topic, and that is how I am working in image processing or robotics or infectious diseases. Though no doubt my child is inventory only, and I am still stick to it. So it is important to adopt proper strategies so that they do not struggle for this purpose. So it's what I mean that if I am choosing my own topic, that is scholar is choosing his like topic, then he should have some problems which he will like to address. At least 5 to 6 problems he should have, which he feels that if he can tackle these problems, then his output can be treated as a research work. Okay? And in that case, he will not have to struggle much. So obviously, for the last category, creative thinking is needed to generate the new, original and unique ideas. One can go with some of the research topics from Wang and Bark in 2016 and Roberts 2010. They have not only restricted their ideas for science, they have also given for arts subjects. Okay, now I have selected the topic. Next is what? Conduct literature review to determine what is known. Because it is published, it is known. And what is not known. So this is what you need to focus. And the area that needs additional research. But for that, what you need? You need to go with careful look through recommendations for future research. If you read any paper, at the end of the conclusion and the beginning of the references, you always find this that future research can be in this particular line or possible future extensions which will improve the output you can get. And not only that, it also talks about the limitations. And both these things also appear in thesis that you have to mention, because every thesis is prepared under some limitations. Some problem will be having some limitations. And if you can think of reducing those limitations in your research, then it will turn out to be your research topic. Here it says limitation sections of dissertations, because now most of the PhD theses and MPhil dissertations are available on Sodh Ganga. So you don't have to go and ask the researcher who had completed. You can get it. Open source is available, I can say. And review articles published in scholarly journals. This is very important one. If you go with good number of topics, and that is that a good number of topics and quite interesting also. No doubt they may not be all easy to get. Okay. Search on the internet, but be careful that not every website is trustworthy. Now clone journals are also coming up, so it is up to you how much you trust. And when you trust them, you also discuss about the security in the sense whether what you are thinking of having as a research topic, is it a trustworthy, what has been said in the journal. Try to avoid non-trustworthy websites. Okay. Most of our softwares, spam softwares, gives us this information that this particular website is not non-trustworthy. Okay. Attend presentations of MSc students, and particularly when we have the end semester Viva exam, we do ask good number of questions which needs to be answered in future as a research. So attend presentations, discussions, and recommendations of conferences and seminars in your life field to get the idea about the current and future research needs. Most of the conferences are having keynote addresses and plenary addresses which simply talks about what can be the future research topics. And this is the area where most of our students are lagging behind. The participant can approach the authors for their suggestions for future research. And if possible, visit nearby research institute or academic institute to know what others are doing. No doubt, I made this statement as a red statement with some purpose. If somebody comes from other university, then the research scholar is having a confusion that they will take away our ideas and our mastery in which we are doing. But that is not a right way. That is not a right thinking. In fact, when you discuss with others, you will get some good idea to have something different. Okay. So do visit nearby research institutes or academic institutes. And every time you will not get a good welcome. Most of the time they will say that, no, you talk to your own faculty and get the idea. Okay, you will get rejections. And once you enter into the research area, research path, rejections are more than the welcomes. So always be ready for the rejections. Don't worry if it comes once, twice, thrice, but at some point of time you will be welcomed also. So don't get frustrated. Attend as many vivas as possible, because the discussion that occurs during a dissertation's oral defense may open up the eyes for the potential topics. And this COVID-19 spread has made this quite friendly, because not only in India, we can also attend vivas examinations of students online. As I said, check the trust area for research on the website of the universities of the interest. That is, if you are interested in functional analysis or Banach's basis, you should visit SP University. If you are interested in fluid mechanics results, you should visit Veer Narmad South Gujarat University. If you are interested to work in inventory modeling and its different version, obviously you can visit CCS University. Okay? So depending upon the interest of yours, you visit university's website. Don't go directly to the department. First you visit university website, because now all websites are quite user friendly and informative. A good proposal from the areas that are of interest to the sponsor has a better chance of winning a fully funded scholarship or project. What I will say, you should go with fully funded scholarship, because as it is quite costly. Okay. To attend the conferences, if it is online, there is no issue. But if it is offline, and that is much better than online conferences. Here, I am only going to speak for 85 minutes without looking at your faces. But if it is offline, as a speaker, I will also come to know about the reactions of the audience from their faces, their face readings. Okay. So, if you have a fund, you can easily go. Okay. And it will reduce the burden of your parents. Okay. Find out the problems of the industries of interest and ideas to find solutions to the problems can win fully industrial funded research. Nowadays, this is getting more attention, and more people, more and more researchers are moving on this particular track. Okay. Industry require a lot of research. They have R&D department where you can get employment as a trainee or as a researcher with fully funded research. Not only that, you can also do something different, in the sense you try to have your 4-6 knowledgeable people, maybe your own classmates, and try to have the brainstorming sessions. Because when you do any graduate PT, that is post-graduation, then you are doing it only for the purpose of getting distinction in the exam, okay, without getting deep into the subject. But later on, you can have 4-6 classmates group who are having the same interest, okay, and then you once again you can go to the subject and also ponder on the ideas generated. A good research idea may arise from certain conditions or situations in the world. This I already said in the beginning, that you can always get problems from your surroundings. The present situation due to COVID-19 has created opportunities for research in microbiological, immunological, pathological, clinical, preventive and socio-economic aspects of the pandemic. And this example I already gave when you want to work in COVID-19. And for this, you all alone cannot have knowledge of each and every component. So try to have your own team. Okay? Maybe some may be microbiological, biologists, immunologists, pathologists, and so on. And that will turn out to be, I can say that will turn out to be the best outcome. No doubt here some problem comes in the sense because when I connect all these players, and I am one of them, that means I have 7 authors. Okay, they are co-authors. And sometimes it happens that when you are applying for academic course, your marks which are designated by UGC will get divided. Okay? But I can say that don't worry, you are having a good collaborative research. This doesn't happen in US or UK. If you look at the research papers, there are microbiologists as authors, there are mathematicians, statisticians, physicians as the, if you look at the affiliation, you will find all these things. Once researchers have idea, they need to evaluate those ideas critically to come up with the potential research topic. And this process involves, we'll see, but they are not linear steps. Okay. First is topics of interest. Choose potential topics of interest so that researcher continues being motivated to successfully overcome the problem that are generally encountered in the course of the study. Okay. So if you encounter with the then don't get frustrated. There are other ways in which you can solve the problem. But you should have a team. And the topic should be interesting to the supervisor. Because if supervisor is not interested in particular topic, he will not be giving you proper attention. That is quite obvious. And in that case, other members of the committee, that is the team, and then you can meet the specification and the standard of the university. Topics appropriate to the discipline. No doubt I don't have to say that maths person can go only to maths, because nowadays, or chemistry can go to chemistry. Nowadays, interdisciplinary and multidisciplinary research is encouraged, which is the specifications and the standards set by the institute. Try to identify at least 3 potential topics and write a clear statement of the problem. That is, what is your problem? That is what is called statement of the problem. And describe research methodology in each case. That is what you are thinking that the particular problem will require this methodology to solve them. Also think about the alternatives for the discussions with the supervisor. If some of the methodology which you feel that can work, and when it goes to your supervisor, his experience says that it will not work, so you should also have some other alternative which can give you the solution. In most higher education systems, an application for PhD registration is accompanied with a proposal. We always say research proposal. And at that time, the candidate has to identify both the things simultaneously. Supervisor, whose main role is to guide through the dissertation process. Every PhD student has a supervisor from the same department, but that is now not required when you are going for interdisciplinary work. But then one more constraint is students should have co-supervisor from the other department. If you want to go with the mathematical physics, then main supervisor will be from the mathematics, but you should also have co-supervisor who can explain or who can clear your doubts about your physics concepts. Part-time candidates can have co-supervisors, usually from the research institutes or company where they are employed, and that is quite useful also. And when projects are there, taken by particular institute, research institute, maybe ISRO, maybe PRL, maybe plasma, maybe weather forecasting, then the role of supervisor is usually replaced by coordinator or advisor. And in fact, this is much better because coordinator will able to help you to get the solution of problem, or at least he or she will guide you how you can proceed further. However, every academic or research institute may have its own regulations that you have to follow. Okay, now here we have a matrix. Level of supervisors involvement, that is row wise and column wise student. Now this is when both are high. Student is quite clear about what he wants to do, and supervisor is also quite ready with the subject. So this is good enough. Then student is high, supervisor is low. Okay. So this also one can go with if the researcher is capable of working independently with minimum support of the supervisor. And this happens very rarely. At any point of time, if you are stuck up, you have to have supervisor's advice, suggestion. Even low and high, if supervisor is competent enough and student is not up to the level, then that is not a good option. The PhD scholar who depends only on the supervisor expertise may not try to work independently, and that is what we don't want in PhD. And the last one, which is not at all advisable when both are low in nature, that supervisor don't want to involve or involvement is very low, and scholar is also having a very limited interest in the topic which is taken by him. So this matrix says the level of research coming out from the students' involvement and teachers' involvement. Okay, when the scope of a topic is too broad or too narrow, it will be difficult to conduct the research. And what are the problems? If topic is too broad, then the researcher will end up writing only in journal. Okay. That is what we do in maths. Okay. And is unlikely to go deeper into the problem due to the limitations of the time and resources. Limitations of the time, no doubt, only 5 years are there, but that can be overcome. Okay. Provided researcher is really interested, otherwise it is not a good. Also, it is not good to have the too narrow topic. In that case, it becomes difficult to find adequate literature which is necessary to describe the background of the study and to identify a research gap. So you need to have a trade-off between too broad topic and too narrow topic. That is what I see here. Now I'm just focusing on one topic and saying that how one can go with. For example, transmission of COVID-19 in India. It is too broad, obviously, but it is multidisciplinary. And it may not be possible for a researcher to cover all the sectors within a given time frame and infrastructure constraints. Now, infrastructure constraint means if I don't have data, then if I can't assess data, then I will be not having a good outcome. Okay. And obviously, time frame is very limited, both from the problem itself and from the research point of view. So, the topic can be limited to the health sector, which can be further restricted to the pharmaceutical sector once immunization starts. It can be further restricted to a specific category of severity of the infection. So you can see that I should not go to such a narrow down topic, that is transmission of COVID-19 in India. This is how it says. For example, I took up corona transmission problem in India. That is quite big one. Now I'm taking its subset. That is corona transmission problem in health sector. Then the inner circle, third one, is saying transmission problem and infrastructure. That is, if I give advice to the health sector that okay, you can tackle the problem in this way, you should have this much infrastructure, but I should have that much facility. I should have at least oxygen plant with me. Okay, I should have infrastructure which can tell me that this is the oxygen, here is the oxygen plant from where you can get the oxygen bottles. And the last one is control corona transmission using medical related strategies. So from the top one, I am getting narrow one. But if I narrow it to just control corona transmission using medical related strategy, I may not be in a position to have the PhD thesis, because I may not be able to get the results the way we wanted. So by narrow down the scope, we have not downplayed, we are not rejecting some of the things which are very important, but made it suitable for a focus study which is related to a specific audience. When I say that medical related strategies, that means I am focusing on medical facilities. When I am saying the third part, infrastructure, that means I am focusing on vaccine distribution, oxygen distribution, ambulance distribution, etc. So, next, your research should have scientific, practical and social relevance. Now this I already said. But an evidence for the original and novel research work also is very important. Okay? And for that, what candidates should have published 2/3 papers in the reputed journals before submission of the PhD thesis. And most of the universities has made this mandatory so that degree can be awarded. Research can be conducted to solve practical problems of the industries or organizations. Even you can go with NGOs. They have a good number of problems which needs to be addressed. The industry will have internet and support, so you don't have to worry about it. Okay? And research should be relevant to the communities or societies in which it is conducted. If you have conducted research in the chemical industry or petrol industry, then it is relevant to that particular community. So, select a research topic that may help to get a job or a promotion. If I have a research in petroleum industry and if I want to get assistant professor position in Gujarat University, then my research may not be of that use if I get position in Pandit Dindayal Energy University, which is mainly for petroleum industry products. So what I say that in a final year MSc, particularly mathematical science student, is keen to work in the epidemiology, a dissertation topic related to detailed exploration of infectious disease would be appropriate. That is at least he should have this knowledge about how it is going to be. Next one is feasibility of the study. It is necessary the feasibility of potential topics, whether the project can be undertaken with available resources in terms of manpower. You may require manpower in the sense you may require a programmer. Every time it is not easy for anybody to have the MATLAB programming or Python programming or nowadays R programming also. If you have a data, if you are working with a inventory problem using machine learning, then obviously you have to learn machine learning algorithm and Python. But when you are working for the first time, you can take help of the Python programmer. But all these things are time bound. So it may happen that researchers have to deal with uncertainties that affect the project schedule. Very recent example, we all were asked to sit at home. Okay, so that was completely uncertain. We were not knowing about that we will be sitting home for almost 2 years. It is necessary to assess the financial aspect of a research study. The budget framework should indicate the total cost and its breakup towards the purchase of equipment, travel and contingency. And many times I observe when my students are applying for the grant, either they don't put sufficient amount in equipment, that is laptop in our case, or travel or contingency, and later on they face a problem. If I put only 40,000 for a laptop and buy 18% or 28% GST, my laptop turns out to be 58,000, then I will not able to buy laptop in the grant given to me. So all this requires a huge amount of time and work. Researcher may conduct SWOT, that is what is his strength, weakness, opportunity and threat. So this is how it is going on. Just a minute. I have used the word friend because I consider research to be one of my best friends. But here this is in terms of research area. F stands for feasibility and it should have this many criteria. R for relevant, I for interesting, E for ethical, narrow down the research topic, follow the discipline, and obviously most important, your supervisor should get satisfied with your research. This I say. Narrow and focused topic that might advance scientific knowledge or solve practical problems or might benefit society are further examined from the feasibility and ethical aspects. And that's why the word friend has been categorized. This is what I wanted to say from my end about how to choose the topic and what are the rules and regulations that you have to follow. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you for such a wonderful lecture delivered by you. I hope that every one of us will be benefited for this valuable information shared by Professor Nita Shah, ma'am.